why my heart feels full. My heart feels full. And I'm so thankful. So thankful for the little things that mean so much to me. Na 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 na, hey hey. Na 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 na, na na na. It's hard to notice what we've got until the moment when everything stops. I notice why my heart feels full. My heart feels full. And I'm so thankful. So thankful for the little things that mean so much to me.
Good morning. It must be Saturday. It is honestly, I think it's my favorite time. So good morning. It is Saturday. It is October. And it is another chilly day. But I've got to tell you, the trees are beautiful. I don't know when they're supposed to peak, but I have to say that despite the gray skies, the trees, the colors are amazing. So we are here for story time, and it is the time of year when we are surrounded by beautiful trees and pumpkins. So today we're actually going to have a story time about trees and pumpkins, because that is what's making the world so beautiful right now. And this is an old book. But I have to tell you, I think it is one of the best books that I have come across in a long time for so many reasons. And it's going to take us a while to read it because there's so much to talk about on each page. Even from the very beginning, I hope there's not a glare, you can see that the way that the letters are used to make the words, it's really clever. So we have tall pumpkins, we have skinny pumpkins, and we have bumpy pumpkins, and we have big pumpkins, and we have round pumpkins, and it's Pumpkin Day. So I am super excited about this book. And I love books for their illustrations for many reasons, but this is one of those books where the pictures are made not from crayons or not from markers or not from watercolors or oil paints, but by cutting up fabric and paper, and it's more of a collage type, so super neat. So this is called Pumpkin Day. And even again from the very beginning, look, there's the pumpkin seed, and the seed opens up, and the roots grow, and the leaves come out, and then it continues to grow. Look! That is where our pumpkins come from. Daddy, it's Pumpkin Day, said Trudy one October morning. The day we have pumpkin pancakes for breakfast? He asked. Oh, yes, said Trudy. The day we go to pick out pumpkins and buy pumpkin pie? Oh, yes, shouted Trudy and Jack together. Well, hooray for Pumpkin Day, declared Dad. And pass the pumpkin pancakes, please. So this is really clever. On the very first page, they've included a recipe for how to make pumpkin pancakes. And look. Look, when they make the pancakes, do you see what shape they're making the pancakes in? So they're making rabbit-shaped pumpkin pancakes. And after breakfast, they walked to Pumpkin Hollow Farm, and the yellow and orange leaves glowed against the clear blue sky. And the fallen leaves made a, look at this, crunch, crunch, crunch sound under their feet. And there it is again. Do you see? Crunch, crunch, crunch. Pumpkin Hollow Farm. Good morning, said Mrs. Bell. There are lots of pumpkins in the pumpkin patch. We have miniature pumpkins for cooking and eating, and pumpkins for carving, and one that is very special. I'm sure you'll find it. Trudy, what do the signs say? Asked Jack, and Trudy read. And they say, Welcome to Pumpkin Hollow Farm. It took between 90 and 120 days to grow these pumpkins. Please don't sit or climb on them. And please don't pick up the pumpkins by their stems. Thank you, Mrs. Bell. Now here's another sign, and I think these are really fun, and they're throughout the book. And the sign says, well, maybe here, I'm going to give you a second, see if you can read it. It's a joke. It says, what does a pumpkin sow? And the answer, you turn it upside down. Do you see? A pumpkin patch. What does a pumpkin sow? A pumpkin patch. In the fields behind the farm stand, there were small pumpkins and tall pumpkins and round pumpkins and skinny pumpkins and big pumpkins and bumpy pumpkins. So they're walking through the pumpkin patch, and again, there are more signs that they can read. So here's a little quiz. Can you see the quiz? It says, pumpkins and blueberries are both kinds of birds, kinds of fish, or kinds of berries. And the answer is, look at that, berries. So pumpkin is a fruit. If Peter Piper picked a peck of perfect peewee pumpkins, how many perfect peewee pumpkins did Peter Piper pick? I like this wrinkly one, said Trudy. And Jack patted the pumpkins. They made a thump sound. I want this one, he said. Trudy, do pumpkins grow on trees? No, Jack, they grow on vines, she answered. That's right, said Mrs. Bell. We plant the seeds in the spring and after the last frost, and they sprout, and then they grow into vines. And the vines grow really long as a house with a lot of leaves. Here's a question. And the question says, a pumpkin fell into a pool. Did it sink or float? What do you think? Yeah, it would float. At this time of year, the vines are shriveling up. But look, here is a female pumpkin flower. A pumpkin grows from the swelling at the base of the flower. It's green and small, said Trudy. How do pumpkins grow so big? And orange, said Jack. And Mrs. Bell took some pictures from her pocket. So, with leaves making food, and the roots growing in rich soil. So they're growing down in the ground. And with the right amount of sun. And then on the next page it says, and water, and fertilizer, and weeding, and bug control. And it says the pumpkins will grow from late summer to harvest time. Night and day, they grow bigger. And bigger and bigger. Trudy and Jack joined in. The word pumpkin comes from a Latin word, pepo. Pepo, they both giggled, and Mrs. Bell laughed too. Yes, pepo. It means ripened by the sun. And as the pumpkin ripens, what happens to the color? It changes, exclaimed Trudy. So from green to yellow to light orange to a very dark orange. Look, I want this one, yelled Jack. Wow, Trudy shouted. It's a maximum variety, said Mrs. Bell. Maximas can gain as much as 5 pounds a day. I wish it were the kind for making pies. It sure would make a lot of them, said Dad. Yum. Who's going to carry this giant pumpkin home? Boy, that is big, isn't it? Then she said, I will. Can you guess how? Before we turn the page, look, here's another joke. And this joke is, what is a pumpkin's favorite sport? You ready? Squash. So how do you think Mom's going to carry this giant pumpkin home? As a memory. Say pumpkin, please. So she took a picture of it. So I guess they're not going to take the really big one. They're just going to take a picture of it. They picked out their pumpkins and followed Mrs. Bell back to the farm stand. What do the signs say, Trudy? Asked Jack, and Trudy read. So here's the sign that has the parts of the pumpkin. So do you see the stem and the shell and the flesh and the pulp and the seeds? And here's another joke. And the joke said, what did the pumpkin say after Thanksgiving? Good pie. Mom, look at the baby pumpkin, said Trudy. Those are baby boos, said Mom. They are full grown, just a miniature variety. We can buy a few for decorating and some pumpkin bread mix and a pumpkin treat for supper. So do you see what we have here? We have pumpkin pie and pumpkin butter. Do you see what these are? These are boxes of pumpkin pie bread mix. As soon as they got home, Trudy and Jack practiced drawing pumpkin faces on paper. And then they drew faces on their pumpkins. I want my pumpkin to have ears, said Trudy, and to be really scary. And Dad cut out lids so Trudy and Jack could reach inside. They rolled up their sleeves and they scooped. Oh, it's all stringy and gooey, said Trudy. Look, Trudy, seeds. We can dry some and save them in a jar and plant them next spring, she said. And they scraped the insides with big spoons. Trudy used an apple core to carve out a nose. And that's a really good idea. I hadn't thought of that. Do you have an apple core? I think they're hard to use, but you know what? That may work on a pumpkin. And Mom and Dad carved the pumpkin faces. Jack, our pumpkins are turning into jack-o'-lanterns, said Trudy. In olden times, they hollowed out potatoes and turnips and beets for lanterns. And they cut out a little window and put a burning coal inside for light. And they called those early jack-o'-lanterns boogies, said Dad. Boogies? They all giggled. Mom and Dad and Trudy and Jack made a special pumpkin supper. And they included, look, the recipes. So we've got a recipe here for toasted jack-o'-lantern seeds. And then we've got one for Trudy's perfect pumpkin muffins. They ate pumpkin muffins and toasted pumpkin seeds sprinkled on salad, and for dessert, pumpkin pie. And Trudy looked over at the pumpkins, and finally it was dark outside. "Mom," she whispered, "it's time." And Jack turned out the lights. Isn't that great? And that's the end. I just think that's such a fun book because there's so many things that you can talk about on all the pages. In fact, even the last page, in the wintertime, rather than making a snowman, they're making a snow pumpkin. So, fun recipes, great facts about pumpkins. I just think it's a really fun book. Jokes. I'm definitely hungry for pumpkin muffins. Fun book. Pumpkin Day. All right, that was a long book. You listened really well. I think it's time. Oh my goodness, that took a long time. All right, I think it is time for us to sing a song. Or, you know what, let's do this one. This is another ABC song, and it's with kids singing, and it's very sweet. Let's do this one. H-I-J-K-L-M-N-O-P for pumpkin, Q-R-S-T-U-V-W-X-Y-and-Z. Now I know my ABCs. Next time, won't you sing with me? I hear.
5 little pumpkins sitting on a gate. First one said,
"Oh my, it's getting late."
second one said,
There are witches in the air.
third one said,
"We don't care."
fourth one said,
Let's run.
fifth one said, I'm ready for some fun. Then whoo went the wind, and out went the lights, and the 5 little pumpkins rolled outside.
That's a fun one. All right. This is another amazing book. Be thankful for trees. So here we are with green leaves. Some of our trees still have green leaves, but most of them right now, this is the back of the book, look like this. And this book has chapters. We're going to read a chapter book. They're short chapters, don't worry. So this is Be Thankful for Trees. And the first chapter is A Tree is Food. Would life be satisfying without trees? It would not. Nuts, berries, and bark to crunch and munch and lick. All of these animals are getting food from the trees. Leaves for a koala and bamboo shoots for a bear. And a giraffe stretches up for a tree's fair. and syrup for you, and cherries and chocolate for me. So animals get food from trees, and so do we. Look at these yummy foods. The apples, the syrup, the chocolate, and the cherries, all from trees. People and animals are fed by tree. Chapter 2. A tree is comfort. And the question is, would life be good without trees? And the answer, it would not. What gives you a seat? Or a floor for your feet? A place you can sit with your family to eat. What gives you a sofa and some comfy chairs? A way to the attic with pull-down stairs. A baby's cradle and a double-decker bed. A dining table with Mom at the head. Places to sit and places to slumber. A tree is lumber. So all that furniture and the floor and the stairs, they're all made out of wood, and wood is from, you guessed it, a tree. I love this next chapter. Third, a tree is music. Would life be melodious without trees? It would not. Pianos and bongos. Think about that. The piano's made from a tree. A violin and a bow. Yeah, from a tree. The moan of a cello, lonesome and low. The pum-pum of a drum. And a guitar's twangy strum. The wood, tree wood makes music. Zing, ping, and hum. I knew that all of these instruments were made out of wood, but you're right, we have to be thankful for trees because that's where we get the wood. Next chapter, chapter 4. A tree is art. Would life be beautiful without trees? And the answer, it would not. Paper for drawing. Recipes for cooks. So our paper for drawing and our paper for books, they're from trees. Signs and magazines and glorious books. With brushes and paint, or drawn by yourself. A creation on paper, displayed on a shelf. Chapter 5. A tree is recreation. Would life be fun without trees? It would not. Paper kite swirling. Boats floating by. So both the kites, the paper kites, and the wooden boats. All that wood is coming from trees. Tall trees reaching up helps us see the sky. Oars and paddles. Benches with slats. Skateboards and balance beams and long wooden bats. Tree wood shapes toys for girls and boys. Chapter 6. A tree is home. And the question is, would life be comfy without trees? It would not. Sturdy branches to swing from, hang or rest. A perfect forked branch holds a neat little nest. Habitat for a frog. A burrow in roots. This big hole is mine, says an owl's loud hoots. Protection and shelter. Under a wide leafy dome. A place to sleep. A tree is home. Chapter 7. A tree is life. Would life be possible without trees? It would not. Storms and fires and floods. All kinds of construction. Trees need protection from man-made destruction. No place for a bird, no shade, and no green. Trees make the earth rich and keep our air clean. Explore a cool forest with its pine-scented breeze. Just remember, forever, be thankful for trees. Isn't that a lovely book? And perfect for this time of the year. Wow, you have done amazingly well. We listened to 2 really long books. This one was Pumpkin Days, And it was full of facts and great things to do with pumpkins. And this one was all about how trees provide so much for us. And it had many, many chapters. I think we had 7 chapters. So this one was Be Thankful for Trees. So every story time is different. And this one was different because I think we're just going to stop today with 2 books that were quite long. And looking outside, I see so many different trees. Some are losing their leaves. Some are still green. Some are yellow and red and orange. And the wind is blowing. And you know what? I am super thankful for you and for trees and all the different things that we can do. So this song, I never get sick of it because it's true. The more we get together, 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 the more we get together, the happier we'll be. 'Cause your friends are my friends and my friends are your friends. The more we get together, the happier we'll be. I'm just thinking of the instruments that were made from wood. So this might be a ukulele or mandolin made from wood. The more we get together, 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 the more we get together, the happier we'll be. 'Cause your friends are my friends and my friends are your friends. The more we get together, the happier we'll be. Oh, the more we get together, the happier we'll be. Well, I am super happy it's Saturday. I'm really glad you came to Storytime. And whatever you do today, if you're here, I think you're going to need to bundle up, but it's still going to be a great day to go outside and see beautiful trees and beautiful pumpkins.